Haven't Seen That podcast. This is Erin.
And this is Josh.
And this week we are doing Brokeback Mountain.
Yep, Brokeback Mountain.
I was so scared that this movie was going to destroy me. And no spoilers. I won't tell you whether or not it did. But I definitely went into this week with a lot of trepidation. I was afraid of the amount of tears that I was going to cry.
Huh.
What did you... I have never seen it, but like I seem to recall you haven't seen it either?
Yeah, I haven't seen it. This movie has been on my watch list for quite some time. Pretty much ever since it came out, and it went to the Academy Awards and it got its wins, and then a little bit of controversy, I think, where the director won Best Director, but the movie did not, even though it was nominated, and it was another movie, just Crash, which some people are now saying that, like, that's not even a good movie and it should have never won.
But before we get into that, talk to me about, like, the deets, my friend.
So we have director Ang Lee helming this movie, probably most famous for Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. I think Crouching Tiger is probably his best movie. He's done some decent movies recently. Life of Pi, I think that was also nominated for some.
I don't know if it won, but I do recall it was nominated.
He did the famous Hulk movie. Got a couple writers, because I believe this movie's based on a story, story.
It's based on a short story. I actually, after I finished the movie, I felt compelled to read the story. Yeah. And so I did.
Is it relatively short, or is it like...
Yeah, it's only 20 pages of single-spaced text about. So, like, not short, but not very long either.
Yeah, so not...
It only took
not
me...
a novel size.
Not even close. It took me probably half an hour to read it.
Okay. And then our main actors are Jake Gyllenhaal plays Jack Twist, and then Heath Ledger plays
Ennis Delmar.
And then we got Michelle Williams, which she was in our movie at the beginning of this month. She was in But I'm a Cheerleader, like the small little role.
Wait, which role she did?
She was one of the friend cheerleaders that
Is
helped.
She really?
Yeah, she was like quick
oh
quick
my
scene.
God.
Yeah.
I didn't even realize.
Yeah. We got Randy Quaid, which that's an interesting pick.
Yeah, I saw that there was a whole thing with him, unfortunately.
And also, we got
Anne Hathaway. Andy Sachs herself.
Yeah. Those are pretty much the our main players in this movie.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, give me the author name real fast.
It was Annie Proulx, Proulx. Yeah, this movie came out in... It says 2006, but it might have been more wide released in 2007.
Mm-hmm. It's so funny that it came out in 2006. I feel like we've been really focused on...
Yeah, actually, it looks like it was more wide released in 2006, but released limited in 2005. That makes more sense because it was in the Academy Awards for 2006. Because it's always the previous year. Okay. So its official release was 2005.
And then a wider release in 2006. Yep. Interesting. Yep. I think that's really funny too, because like you were mentioning that 2006 is one of the big like banner years for your personal filmmaking career, but you still hadn't seen this.
I think that's probably when I started watching the Oscars, was for the 2005 movies. Mm-hmm. So the Oscars would have played like in February of 2006, February or March. So, and that was pretty much towards the end of high school for me, and we were getting ready to go up to film school, and so no, take that back. Start of high school, senior year, and that's when I was really focused into films, and so that 2006 year.
Yeah, did you like avoid this movie?
I didn't avoid this movie. I think what I saw was just all the parodies of this movie, and all they did was made fun of the "I can't quit you" joke. Like that's the joke. Yeah. That these movies parody.
Which is sad because like that's such a critical part of the drama.
And I just didn't really hear anybody that have seen this movie that would be like, oh yeah, it's a great movie. Just like nobody really talked about it around me. So like I said, I had wanted to see the movie, but just never found the time to see it. And then when we had discussed to review it, I was like, well, this would be a good time to see it. So
yeah, for me, I remember when it came out, but I think so. First of all, I just don't watch movies, so like it already has that going against it. Yeah. But then on top of that, I think I have a hard time with dramas. I don't necessarily have a lot of emotional bandwidth for them, and I don't know. Like I said, I was really afraid of how much this movie was going to make me cry, and I'm pretty sure that in 2006, I was also like, I am not prepared for the moisture loss that I am going to have related to this movie. And so yeah, I think I kind of went out of my way to not watch it because I knew that I was was going to have a hard time. So, I mean, neither of us had seen it. Like, what did you know about it going in?
Well, I knew who was in the movie, and so, as in the actors and who directed it. So I kind of felt like this has to be a good movie with who's in it. You know, Heath Ledger, he goes on and does, you know, The Dark Knight, and, you know, he has this tragic passing, and then posthumously wins the Best Supporting Actor role for his portrayal of Joker in The Dark Knight. And so I think
did he really?
Yes.
Oh.
Yes.
Well, he deserved it.
Yeah.
He was phenomenal in that role.
Because he had passed away, like the filming of Dark Knight had already been done, and he was actually on a break for another film and passed away. They didn't even finish filming his last scene, and so his parents accepted the award in his behalf. And so I think like the recognition of his work and how great his performance was in The Dark Knight. I believe he was also nominated for acting in this film as well, and
I think he was.
Yeah, and I think it just kind of made me want to see it more because of his acting. Like, and then, you know, Jake Gyllenhaal is a pretty good actor. He's got some pretty solid movies. When he's got some movies, I'm like, okay. You know, sometimes you gotta get a paycheck, but.
Well, I was definitely drawn more toward Heath Ledger than Jake Gyllenhaal. I have loved Heath Ledger ever since I saw him in 10 Things I Hate About You.
Yeah.
I thought he did such a good job in there. And then, like, I don't think I've ever seen something that he was in where I was like, oh, that was mediocre. He does good work. He did good work.
Yeah.
Jake Gyllenhaal, I have no particularly strong feelings about. And so, like, I was like, okay, I'm prepared to, like, really love Ennis and just kind of, like, be whatever about Jack.
I feel like the story, like, the movie follows Ennis more than it does follow Jack.
Ennis, I think, is the main character.
Yeah, because the way that they're portraying kind of these guys is lifestyles.
Yeah.
Because, like, it's, like, they're not, like, compared to our last movie we watched, Milk, where Milk was, hey, you need to be out. These guys were not, especially Ennis. Jack, I think he was really trying to in some parts of the movie, but he also didn't.
Well, and also, like, in their defense, I think, you know, Milk was out in the late 70s in San Francisco, which has been, like, the queer capital of America since Time Out of Mind. Whereas, like, these guys are in Wyoming and Texas.
Yeah.
I mean, the story starts in 1963, which is a good 6 years before even Stonewall happens.
Yeah.
And it progresses all the way through, like, 1983, but at the same time, like, again, in those kinds of more rural communities, being gay was not an acceptable thing.
Yeah.
To this day, I would say it's probably not acceptable.
Yeah.
It's grown a lot, but at the same time, like, in the 80s, under Reagan, absolutely not.
Yeah. This is nothing. I didn't know what time period this movie took place coming in, and so then when I saw that it was starting in, like, in the 60s, I was like, ooh.
Yeah, I didn't realize
this is gonna be rough for these guys.
Fucking rough.
For sure. Because, like, at first, like, you just see Ennis walking to go to that trailer to get the job to the sheep herder, and then when Jack drives in the older truck, I was like, huh, they really like the old truck. And then they're like, yeah, 1960. I was like, oh, okay, so this is set in a different time period. Okay.
Yeah.
So this makes sense, because I never knew, because, like, from what trailers I saw, to me it never really,
it doesn't hit you how early
it is, because it just, to me, I just thought it was like maybe modern day, because they talk about rodeos and being maybe cowboys. I was like, oh, so it's just, you know, modern day Western.
I had the sense that it was from an older time period, but I wouldn't have guessed it was like pre-Stonewall.
Yeah.
And I mean, like, one of the pieces of queer history that I think is really relevant is I don't think the DSM dropped homosexuality as a mental illness until the mid 70s.
Yeah.
And so, like, not only was it this, like, taboo in the way that, you know, being gay to this very day is a little bit taboo, but it was, like, illegal, literally illegal.
Yeah, in many.
Not in many, in every place. But, like, a lot of states didn't drop their sodomy laws until the 70s. And for the definition of these laws, sodomy is anything that's not missionary between a man and a woman. So, like, oral is sodomy, even if it's your wife. And so like two men doing literally anything? No.
Yeah, not allowed.
Not allowed. Very illegal. You could literally go to jail for that shit. And like that's the situation that these characters would have been in. Like not only is it a situation where they're probably kind of out of their depth.
Yeah.
And I mean we get into that with Ennis a lot as well.
Because Ennis talks about a situation where I believe there was a gay man who they found out at the town or something that he lived growing up, and his dad had taken him and his brother to see what happened to him.
Yeah.
And he was castrated, it looked like, and like beaten to death.
Yeah.
And I believe he shared that story with Jack. Yeah, he shared that story with Jack as they were progressing kind of their relationship.
Yeah. Well, and that's something that I think it's very strongly implied in the movie, but it is outright stated in the story, is that Ennis believed that the one man who he knew as a young person had gotten beaten to death with a tire iron and then dragged behind a car.
Yeah.
And then he was afraid that was what happened to Jack.
Yeah.
And again, it's kind of implied in the movie through flashbacks that that's what Ennis is thinking, but in the story, it's like outright stated that's what Ennis thinks happens.
Okay.
To Jack.
Yeah, because in the movie, we're kind of jumping up around a little bit in
we
the
definitely
movie.
Are.
But yeah, it definitely, when he hears something that has happened to Jack, that's his immediate thought is, oh, this has happened to him.
He got hate crimed.
Yeah. But yeah, I think at the very beginning of the movie where they're going out to herd the sheep, the shots are beautiful. It's great filming. They found great locations to film some very great outdoor scenes.
I was gonna say that my extremely tasteless joke is I didn't realize we were gonna be watching literal porn for the state of Wyoming, but I feel like I've seen every wet cranny of the state of Wyoming. Actually, it was apparently filmed in Alberta, Canada. So now I've seen every wet cranny of Alberta, Canada.
That's one thing about filming is, even though it says it takes place someplace, most likely the scout locator will go, and usually they find locations that are similar and possibly even cheaper. And Canada has always been kind of a cheaper place for film production because of tax reasons, and that's a whole other thing. A lot of tax reasons why they'll go and film. Like, a funny thing is the movie War Games, since we talk about like locations. So in that movie, Matthew Broderick's character comes to the Salem airport.
Salem, Oregon?
Yes.
What?
But guess what? In the movie, they say this is Salem, Oregon. I looked it up. They actually filmed an airport in Washington.
Yeah.
But the filming
it's supposed to be Wyoming, but they're filming in Alberta.
Yeah. And that's, like I said, that's a typical kind of thing. Like a lot of big places, like say like New York, the movie takes place in New York, but they'll film in Toronto, Canada. Stuff like that. Or they'll build sets like we talked about in Eyes Wide Shut. They built a whole
New York,
in London, or a Gotham City in London. So that's just the magic of movie making, because they have the department that makes sets and stuff like that. Or they have a location scout that will go and be like, oh yeah, this will be cheaper, and this looks like Wyoming, or this looks like Texas, or even though they'll say that's where it's at, that's probably not where they film.
But I mean, you cannot argue with how beautiful the locations were.
Yeah.
Genuinely gorgeous stuff. It was so beautiful.
Yeah.
And actually, one of the things I really like from the beginning of the movie is, okay, so these guys, everyone likes to say that they're cowboys, but like technically speaking, there's no cows involved, so they're not cowboys.
And they're not boys, because they're men.
That's right. They're sheep herders. Yeah. There's a whole thing.
Yeah.
If you look at like the history of the West, there's a whole like cowboys versus sheep herders thing. And so as like a person who grew up in the Midwest, I feel the need to call out the difference. But at the same time, like one of the things I really like about it is at the very beginning of the movie, when they're like driving the sheep up the mountain, the movie takes a lot of time to demonstrate the level of care that they have to have for the animals. So like I think Jake Gyllenhaal ends up like carrying a lamb with him, and I think Heath Ledger has to take care of one of the ones that's injured or something. And I thought that was such a subtle and beautiful way to demonstrate that, like, even though these are like very rough and tumble gentlemen who have a rough and tumble job, they have a softer, gentler side to kind of like open you up to the concept they can be sweet and romantic with each other.
Well, yeah, as you say that, the first extra activities,
their first sex scene,
I was like, are they going to fight? Because like it was pretty rough at first, and I was reading that like when they were like doing that, Gyllenhaal elbowed or like pushed Heath Ledger too hard, and it like gave him a bloody nose or something while they were doing that. And so I think I was reading that as I was watching, and I was like, wait, yeah, like I could see why, because like it was like pretty rough.
Yeah.
I guess you can say like the intimacy was like really high, or maybe they were a little drunk because they were drinking whiskey.
Oh yeah.
In that, because they were just kind of hanging out.
Well, that was like one of the things that really surprised me. I was expecting a much slower burn on this movie, and the fact that like they're having sex within the first 20 minutes probably.
Yeah.
That really surprised me because I could see the movie trying to do like lay the groundwork of like these guys are developing something, and to me it never quite got there. And so I was like, this feels odd. I tried to look up like is this realistic to like a gay man's experience, and apparently it is.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, all right, I trust you. It was just a little bit harder for me to see personally, but I think the implication was meant to be like they've been out in the goddamn mountains for like 3 months.
I think they're out there for like most of the summer.
Yeah.
Because they talk about it as a summer job. And so I think we're definitely getting some time jumps.
Yeah.
For sure. And so they've been out there for a while. And I think we kind of see with like how the weather is changing, like where they're at. Because, it's starting to get cold. I mean, they're also up in a mountain. So it's a lot colder up in the mountains. So.
Well, and the first snow happens in August, apparently. Yeah. So, yeah. And so I think the implication is that like it's been a couple of months. The excuse that they have is that they're both extremely desperate, which like, okay, fair. Who hasn't been there? But it felt a little odd and rushed to me.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like, I don't know, man. If people say that that's realistic, then it's not my place to say that it's not.
And I don't know. I didn't feel their desperation too much. I felt like maybe they just weren't sure of things, because like you get a little bit of like their background, and like Jack's character is kind of I would say he is kind of a failed cowboy, because he had talked about doing rodeos and stuff and hasn't like done well, and he has a family farm that's like really not doing very well, and so he's got all these aspirations to fix it, because then we hear about it like kind of later on in the story, and then Ennis is just nothing's going right for him, it seems like. That's how I portrayed his background.
I mean, I would say the one bright spot is that Ennis has Alma, which
that kind of surprised me, because like I felt like it didn't really, like, we didn't know about her until like a little bit later.
I mean, technically he brings her up right towards the beginning, but like she is
I might have missed that part.
She is such a non-character up until she gets introduced that even I almost forgot. I think like in my notes I was like, after the sex scene I was like, Ennis is acting really way more shook by this than Jack is, and I don't quite understand it. And it took me like going through another 10 minutes of the movie before I was like, oh yeah, he has a fiance. He's literally like supposed to be getting married.
Yeah.
Shit, I forgot about that.
Okay.
Whereas like Jack has no one in particular that he's attached to, so I think he has one less layer that he has to work through. But yeah, she is a throwaway line until she turns up on screen.
Yeah. And then they move into their hetero lives separately after the summer, and they definitely get discriminated because Randy Quaid's character kind of spies on. Well, he's not spying, because
he feels something out.
He's going up there because I think Jack's family member was ill or something, and he went up there to tell him.
Yeah.
But on his way up, he sees them kind of like roughhousing a little bit, and he's just like, But like,
actually, that was one place that I thought the story did better, because in the movie, Aguirre sees them roughhousing, and he seems suspicious, but he doesn't really have anything to go off of that. And then for the rest of the summer, they like, maybe they're not trying their hardest to watch the sheep, but they're like trying. Whereas in the story, apparently they have sex that first time, and then like they start having sex more regularly at night in the tent, and then it turns into them like having sex in the broad daylight out in just like under the sky, and Aguirre like literally sees them through his binoculars, and he sees like, first of all, they're fucking each other, second of all, they are not paying attention to the sheep at all. And so when in the movie it's kind of implied like,
because you don't really get any of that indication that like they're doing more, like, it's, to me, it's very, very secretive relationship. And like it's only like all these characters just speculate, and I don't think they ever truly know. Talk about Alma.
I don't know. Alma gets an eyeful. Like, listen, if I saw my husband literally making out with another man, I would at least have some questions about that.
Well, I was talking about like with her like speculating before all that.
Oh, I don't think she speculated before that.
Okay.
Well, no, I mean, talk to me about what.
No, because I think that when she has like the speculation of something's definitely different with him, because he definitely gets more, Ennis gets more pepped up when he's like, "Oh, I'm going fishing."
Yeah.
And you kind of see it the way that Shell Williams acts. Like, yeah, there's something going on. So.
Well, I mean, like she sees the two of them like making out the first time Jack turns up.
Yeah.
And I think she wants to deny the reality that's right in front of her eyes, and just kind of can't.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, in the story, it's way more. At least from Aguirre's point of view, he's not like turning down Jack for additional work because he's like he has a suspicion.
No, yeah,
he
knows. Yeah, I would say in the movie, it definitely like he kind of knows, but doesn't like.
Yeah,
he
has a strong suspicion.
Yeah,
he's like, those boys are doing some queer shit, as opposed to like, oh, those boys are.
They should be watching my sheep.
Those boys are really doing some queer shit.
But, yeah,
yeah. I don't know.
Because then, like, I don't know. Like you said, you read the story. So in Hathaway's character, I forgot her name, but
Lorene.
Okay, the way I saw it in the movie, she doesn't really know at all, or maybe she does, and she just is like, "It's cool, whatever." Because like on that side, because like their lives are kind of very parallel with the whole
they both
trying
get
to be.
Married,
they both get married, they have kids, and then like kind of going these ways, but they're not happy with what's going on, even though like it's what's expected of them.
Yeah.
Like Jack goes and gets married to her, and he's making lots of money doing the farm equipment sales, and Ennis is kind of doing okay.
He's limping along.
Yeah, but I think that's kind of what he's used to.
Yeah.
And so it's just like with Anne Hathaway's character, I think towards the end when she's on the phone with Ennis, I think that's the way I see it. Like she kind of knows this isn't just a fish buddy. This might be something more. But like, yeah, I think it definitely, for the movie wise, it makes you kind of think about it.
Yeah.
Especially like how Jack actually passes away. Like it makes you think like, was that what happened, or is it what Ennis thinks? So.
Well, and honestly, that was one of the things that I thought was interesting comparing again the story to the movie. Anne Hathaway did such a good job with that part. And the thing that was absolutely wild to me is Lorene in the story has like maybe 5 lines, and she appears 2 times.
2 times?
Yeah.
Yeah, she definitely shows up more in the movie.
And they gave her a much bigger part in the movie. And the phone call in the story is very straightforward. And it calls Lorene. She says, oh yeah, he was pumping up a tire. He got hit in the face with a tire iron. It was really sad. We scattered half of his ashes here, and we gave the other half to his parents. Oh wow, you're the fishing buddy. Sorry to hear that. Bye. But Anne Hathaway does so much like facial acting.
Yeah.
It was genuinely very striking to see the way that you can watch the realization of like what the fishing buddy means. The fact that Ennis knows what Brokeback is and what that would have meant to Jack washing over her. Beautiful performance. She was barely on screen at all. I don't think she had 5 cumulative minutes of screen time in this movie, and she capitalized on every single second of it. Honestly, if we're talking about performances, I really gotta give it to Heath Ledger as well. Ennis was a hard character. His internalized homophobia is the villain of this movie.
Yeah.
Because like that's the whole conflict, is that Jack just wants to be able to get together with Ennis.
Yeah.
You know, maybe Jack is being naive or whatever, but the fact that Ennis won't even hear him out, can't even hear him out, keeps stringing him out to longer and longer time periods before they can see each other.
Yeah.
Strictly because he is so uncomfortable with his relationship to Jack, despite the fact that he wants it so badly. Heath Ledger plays it so beautifully. And it really broke my heart in that last scene right before, you know, the last time that he and Jack see each other, where Ennis, like, he's saying, oh yeah, we can't see each other till November, and Jack gets understandably quite upset about that. And then they have their argument. Ennis kind of breaks down, and Jack comes over to comfort him. And I was like, yeah, I love this. And the minute that Jack touches him, Ennis freaks out. I literally screamed at my laptop. I was like, Ennis, come on! Because I'm like, dude, open your heart to the love, my guy. But like that's the thing. Like, I didn't cry as much during this movie as I thought I would. I was afraid that it was going to absolutely destroy me, and it didn't. It was fine. The record for the most tears ever shed at a movie by me still stays with Everything Everywhere All at Once by an extremely wide margin.
That's a good movie.
It's so good.
Yeah.
But like I teared up a little bit at that point, and I think I shed like a handful of tears at the very end. But it didn't destroy destroy me in the way that I thought it would. But at the same time, I definitely was so sad and frustrated because, again, if there's a villain in this movie other than society, it's Ennis's internalized homophobia, his inability to accept who he is and what he wants and just be there with Jack. And that's the really heartbreaking thing, because you can tell that Jack is Jack is trying. Jack is willing to throw it all away.
Yeah, absolutely. That was like the next thing I was gonna jump in with, was like the parts with Jack, like going to Mexico and meeting with like male prostitutes and like I not saying that's the gay life, because it's not. But he's looking for
that particular kind of companionship.
And I saw Jack was probably more ready to come out than Ennis was. And you're right, like Ennis was definitely holding it back so much, and like you could say, well, maybe if Ennis could, the character of Jack probably still be alive. Like maybe they would be living on Brokeback, but it was such a hard thing.
The horrible thing is that, like, you say that Jack was more ready to come out than Ennis, and I can't disagree with you. But at the same time, like, I don't think even Jack was prepared to come out.
No, I don't think he would have fully, but I think he was taking more steps, and
he was prepared to,
and I think he was also
develop a life that he would be happier with.
And also, like, he probably wasn't kind of keeping that lifestyle more secret, like a lot of people would have to do, so they don't to get murdered.
Well, and that's the frustrating thing, is that like Jack was so bad at hiding it that like apparently everybody knew. His dad knew, his wife knew, or at least strongly suspected. And if Ennis's suspicions are correct, then whoever those people were who murdered him also knew.
Yeah, I did like the Thanksgiving dinners.
I loved that too.
Kind of paralleled in a way, but like both had really messed up Thanksgiving dinners.
Yeah.
I did like Jack's a little bit more, because he got to like tell his father-in-law, like, hey, this is my house. I am the man. You need to chill out. Because there's definitely been family members. I think a lot of people can relate to some family members like that. I mean, I don't think we've had any family members
no, we're pretty lucky
like
in that way.
No Thanksgivings like that.
Well,
but I've heard of others having those kind of Thanksgivings, and
I mean, like, he spends so much time talking about how his father-in-law absolutely hates him, and you can tell. And this is another
the
thing,
hate and the disrespect, and
it was so interesting to think about it, having read the story, because that entire relationship between Jack and his father-in-law is basically intuited out of one sentence. And it's actually a sentence that is said in the movie. Jack says something to the effect of like, my father-in-law will probably pay me to leave her. And everything else that appears in the movie about the father-in-law is completely new to the movie. But it rings so true. Like, that kind of shitty guy who thinks he's the king of the goddamn world. He shits gold because he's him. And it was so great being able to see Jack kind of like step up and take back his power in his own house. But at the same time, I don't know. I liked that we had like the parallel Thanksgiving. Ennis's Thanksgiving is actually like, that's in the story too. It's explicitly spelled out. Jack's is never mentioned. But Ennis's, that's what's happened in the story. And it's so interesting that they decided to make it a parallel thing between the two of them, that they both have these shitty Thanksgivings with people who disrespect them. I don't know. Oh, that part with him though, with Alma, where he like grabs her arm and starts getting scary. I was like, it made me so conflicted for him, because like I understand where he's coming from, in that like he doesn't want, he's not married to Alma anymore, but he still doesn't want his ex-wife like casting these aspersions on him. But at the same time, like, bro, you can't be hurting people. My guy, please.
Yeah, well, he does, because he gets in that fight when he's going to the bar there. Things you'll have to learn if he learns from them.
I don't know. I feel like I barely have anything cogent to say, as per usual, with a movie that's really good. It made me so sad for both of them. And actually, one thing that they change about the movie compared to the story that I actually really liked was the ending. Because in the story, Ennis goes to Jack's parents and he talks to them, and Jack's dad clearly knows what's going on and hates it, and Jack's mom pretty clearly also knows what's going on and is
kind of wanting to,
she's just too sad about the loss of her son to even give a shit. And he gets the 2 shirts and he brings them home. Actually, in the story, does he bring them home? I don't remember. But he definitely discovers them.
Yeah, he finds them in the movie for sure.
He definitely finds them in the movie.
Yeah.
And then in the movie, he brings them home. In the story, they circle back to the thing that he says, where if you can't fix it, you got to stand it. And at the end of the story, that's what it ends with. Is he says that earlier in the story, and then everything happens. He goes and he visits Jack's parents, and then he comes back, and he just kind of is living by himself. I think he winds up getting a postcard of Brokeback, and that's about it. And the last sentence of the story is something along the lines of, if you can't fix it, you got to stand it. And I think the improvement that the movie makes is, he says earlier in the movie, if you can't fix it, you got to stand it. And by the end of the movie, you can see that Ennis has kind of changed his mind a little bit. And now he's like, if you can't stand it, you got to fix it. And so like, maybe it's a very small thing where he's going to stop pushing off all of the people in his life and try to embrace them more.
Yeah, because that's one thing we haven't touched on a little bit was his kids, because that definitely, I think, falls with his oldest daughter, because she keeps trying, and I feel like we don't really quite see it as direct as like he's pushing the kids away. But at the end, with that last visit with his oldest daughter, which actually she's, I won't say a big actress, but she's
pretty big,
a bigger actress now. I forgot her name, but yeah, because like I think that was the whole part, because she was like getting married to the boyfriend, and won't you come to the wedding? At first he's like, I can't make it, I gotta work. And then I think they have a little bit more of a conversation, which I'm forgetting how it goes, but then he kind of like, you know what, they can find somebody else to do this job, and I'll be there. And so like that whole, can't stand it, fix it, because I think he sees like kind of how her sadness is like, oh.
Well, and I think by the end of the movie he has realized that like he used work as the excuse to push Jack away their entire relationship, and he never had to do that. It was an outgrowth of him being uncomfortable being as close to someone as he was Jack. And I think by the end of the movie he realized that like, if you keep pushing people away, at a certain point they're gonna be gone.
You lose them.
And but I did like that, and I thought it was an improvement upon the story that by the end he decided, I can't stand living like this, so clearly I gotta fix it. Which, even if you're very limited in the ways in which you can fix that kind of situation, even just doing the tiny bit that you can do is valuable. The years that he could have had with Jack, even just the additional days or weeks that they could have had if he had been more receptive, are things he's going to regret for the rest of his life. And it's just so unfortunate. I don't know. Also, can I say, I was shocked how much they were able to age Heath Ledger and Jake Gyllenhaal
with just a little bit of makeup.
Because
this movie did not have a huge budget.
And I mean, like, they couldn't have had that long of a filming schedule. At the beginning of the movie, they look like babies. And by the time you get to the end of the movie, Heath Ledger legit looks older than me. And I'm like, my guy. Yeah, he looks like the kind of person who would have an 18, 19-year-old daughter. And I'm like,
which I think that actress at the time and him probably were not very far from age.
I looked into it.
Did you look it up?
Yeah, she was born in 83. He was born in 79.
No,
I mean, she looks older than 19, 20 or whatever. But he looks late 40s. I was like,
when they did, so they had a pretty good makeup artist.
They did a great job. So, I was really impressed.
This movie only had a $14 million budget estimate. It grossed worldwide, probably at the end of its run, $179 million.
Oof, better than 10X. Good job. Did quite good.
Did well, and it didn't have a big budget to do a lot of stuff, so that's why it looks really good. Looked very kind of clean and direct.
Actually, can I say another thing that I was really surprised by was the horsemanship for both actors. I went back because I was like, they have to have had stunt people, but there's a couple shots where you can tell it's definitely them.
Heath Ledger worked or lived on a ranch, I believe, when I was reading.
You can fucking tell.
Yeah, when he lived in Australia, and then Jake Gyllenhaal had to go to do rodeo school, so they had him learn how to do rodeo stuff.
Jake Gyllenhaal did fine, but Heath Ledger, no, you could tell. There was one shot where like I literally went back and rewatched it because Heath Ledger was writing so competently, and I was like, wasn't there a cut in there? And I went back, there's no cut.
No cut.
It goes, he's on his horse, he's talking to Jake Gyllenhaal. It's definitely clearly Heath Ledger, and then one take, he goes off on his horse and rides away, and you can watch that horse is galloping, and he is staying so steady in his saddle. I'm like, Mr. Ledger, you can ride. What the fuck? look.
Yeah, no, he can because he grew up down there in Australia.
You can tell. Jake Gyllenhaal did pretty well as well. The only one who apparently couldn't was Anne Hathaway. I think she probably did get.
Yeah, I think what I was reading that she was doing a lot of movies around this time, and like she was actually filming one of those princess movies.
Princess Diaries, yeah.
And she was in full makeup and costume doing her audition.
I read that too.
Did you? Yeah. So they were like telling Ang Lee like, don't mind what she looks like because she's coming off like a lunch break and coming to audition because like the set for the Princess Diaries was like really close to where they were doing auditions.
Well, and apparently she said that she either lied to them about being able to ride or she just declined to mention that she had no riding ability to speak of because she knew that it would preclude her from getting the role.
Yeah, and
she did such a good job. I'm so glad they got her.
Yeah.
I love Anne Hathaway.
Yeah, because that's also like a cost is to get stunt people because you do have to pay them, put them on payroll, so low budget. Even though you should already plan for that because you want safety for your actors, your main actors, and if they're not trained to do those things, then you're not putting them in those situations.
Yeah,
because they do have like insurance and stuff, and so like I'll just like say Tom Cruise movies when he's doing a lot of those stunts. So if I heard like the insurance for his movies got to be pretty high.
Oh yeah,
but like he does them. The dude is fit and he does that stuff.
And he has a history of doing that stuff.
But like if you're gonna ask somebody to go horseback riding that has never had any horseback riding, you're either going to have them go train before the movie, or you'll just stunt double and do different takes. But there was something else. Oh, Heath Ledger and Michelle Williams fell in love during this movie, and they got married. Didn't last very long, sadly. Okay. And then they did have a child. With I think all the proceeds that the 3 actors on Heath Ledger's last movie, they donated it all to her.
Aww.
To like a fund for her.
How cute.
So, and those were Johnny Depp, Jude Law, Colin Farrell. Oh. Yeah, those 3. Because like I was saying, he passed away in a break during the last movie.
What were they filming?
It was The Imagination of Dr. Parnassus or something like that. Oh. So it was...
I thought it might be like, I knew that this was not the right time frame, but my brain, when I was like Johnny Depp, Jude Law, and Colin Farrell, I was like, Fantastic Beasts?
No.
No.
So it's a fantasy movie, but it was about like kind of like parallel worlds or different worlds that they would go to. And the way that they cut it, every time Heath Ledger's character went into the other world, he looked different. And so that's how they did the 3 different actors.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, one of the things I was reading about from this movie was a bit of a controversy was around the casting because, Heath Ledger, excellent. You can't argue with Heath Ledger. Jake Gyllenhaal did great as well. But especially around this time, there was a big desire to see like actual queer actors play queer roles, and as far as we can tell, that doesn't apply to either of them.
Yeah, and I think that's like kind of been a thing in the last maybe 15 years where they actually get actors who are queer or disabled or hearing impaired. All of that, like that has been kind of a movement because it is representation, and also it gives those people the chance to have a role and
do something big and important.
Yeah.
I was kind of thinking about it though, because I agree that it's big and important, but one of the things I've been watching entirely too much Heated Rivalry, and there was actually a big kerfuffle around the casting of Connor Story and Hudson Williams, whose sexualities are not currently known. Nobody knows.
The actors or?
The actors.
Oh, okay.
Connor Story and Hudson Williams are the actors. Their sexualities are not currently public, and, therefore everyone assumes that they're straight, and so everyone was freaking out, like, how dare you, cast these queer men with straight actors.
Yeah.
And the director said something that I thought was kind of very thoughtful, to be totally honest. The director himself is gay, but he said that during the casting process, he didn't ask anybody what their sexuality is, because if you think about it, that's hiring discrimination.
It is. Yeah.
And he doesn't want to force anybody out that shouldn't be out. And at the end of the day, you want to like get the right person. And I feel conflicted about it, because on the one hand, he's exactly correct. Like, you don't want to force people to come out when they're not ready to come out, and you don't want to like limit your pool.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, I think Heated Rivalry is a little bit of a different situation, because Connor and Hudson were both complete unknowns at the time that they got cast in Heated Rivalry. So it's not like they were cast for their star power and then, it was just like whatever. Yeah. Whereas with Brokeback, they literally were cast for their star power.
Yeah.
And the fact that they were willing to do the gay cowboy movie, because they approached a ton of people and everyone else was like, no thanks.
Yeah. And I would say I see that for a lot of actors, in my opinion. Like, okay, we're either there's like one kissing scene with another man. It's like they may like I feel like would they try to like either convince to take that out or
if
find
Patrick
other ways.
Swayze could play a drag queen, if Wesley Snipes can play a drag queen, you can kiss a man on camera.
I mean, you're getting paid to. Like, it's
for real.
It's like not that big of a deal. Like, you know, just
channel your inner Erin. I love kissing men.
Yeah.
But no, it was so, it was a bit of a weird thing for me because in 2006 it would have been really good to hire some gay or queer actors to be able to play these parts and then like raise their own profile by being attached to this.
Well, here's some of the actors that were considered for the leads: Josh Hartnett, Colin Farrell, Matt Damon, Billy Crudup, and Ben Affleck.
Can you imagine?
You imagine any of those guys?
Can you imagine this movie with
imagine
Matt Damon and Ben Affleck?
I was just gonna say those two.
Yeah,
those two would have been perfect.
Ben Affleck is Ennis and Matt Damon is Jack.
Yeah, I think we need this movie remade with those two.
Yeah,
I think so. Written and directed by Kevin Smith.
Oh my god. But no, there were like, I was looking at the Wikipedia and there were multiple people who were approached and they were like, I don't want to do a gay movie, which makes me sad. I mean, I lived in 2006. I was there. I'm not surprised by their responses, but I am disappointed in the people who were like, I don't want to do a movie where I have to kiss another man and pretend to have sex with him. We're not even asking you to actually have sex with him.
Even like straight sex in most movies, they're not really having sex.
No.
It's not porn.
No.
Like
heated rivalry is pretty explicit and they're obviously not actually having sex.
Yeah, like I mean, you may hear some stories like some actors like, oh yeah, we did actually do it, but you know, that doesn't happen hardly ever.
Yeah.
There's no penetration, there's none of that. Like even if it's, you know, oral sex, they're not really doing that.
No.
So
well, and the one
like it's acting. It's all
acting.
It's all pretend. It's all
and I think they only have like one actual sex scene in Brokeback. Am I remembering that properly?
I think so, because it's the first one we see.
It's the one at the very beginning.
I don't think we see them do it because they do have their sex scenes with their wives. We see that, but that's pretty much it. Like they're all pretty quick too.
Yeah.
It's like boom, boom, done, and then we just move on to the relationships part. So
and like some cuddly stuff,
there's
some kissy stuff.
I will say, and it's kind of does the same thing with Jack with Alma. Like he's just like I'll flip you over and boom. I was like,
I gotta tell you, again, I'm not actually a gay man, so I cannot speak to this. Gay male listeners, please fill me in on this, but I was slightly shocked by the fact that they're aggressively making out, and then Jack, a man who presumably has never had anal sex before, is like, he basically volunteers as tribute to be the bottom. He flips himself over.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm like, sir, my goodness, you are
we sure it's
quite the confident bottom.
Are we sure it's his first time?
We're not sure, but like it's kind of implied.
I feel like
Jack was always much more open.
Yeah.
Open is strong. Much more comfortable with his sexuality to the extent that either of them are comfortable at all.
Yeah.
But Jack was definitely the more of the two.
As you're talking about him and fill you in, but like one little spit, is that enough to make everything comfortable? Because
whether or not it's realistic it from a comfort standpoint, I can't speak to, but whether or not that's realistic from a logistics standpoint, that's how it goes, baby. One spit.
All right, you got any last things you wanna discuss before we wrap it up?
Oh yeah, one of the things that I was thinking about as I was watching it is something I have noticed, and this doesn't just go for Brokeback, but I think Brokeback like crystallized it for me, is there is like a strong history of queer men basically having like psychic fucking powers for like finding each other, clicking, and achieving an understanding with no words exchanged whatsoever.
All right.
That's not just a Brokeback thing. That is like I've done a certain amount of historical research on this stuff, and that's just a historical fact. Queer men can see each other across a room and like almost psychically understand, you and me are the same. Do you want to do something? Yes? Let's go. We're going to make it happen with almost no words exchanged. And as I was watching Brokeback, I was like, you know, I grew up in the 90s and there was this whole stereotypical thing of like men need everything spelled out and like men aren't psychic, they can't just read women's minds or whatever. And as I'm watching Brokeback, I'm like, I mean, men men kind of are psychic. At least queer guys are kind of psychic.
I would say straight men are all about football and wings, and they're not thinking of.
I mean, I love wings, but no. So like
they're thinking of wings.
They're thinking about wings,
burgers, and ribs.
Boobs.
Yeah,
wings
beer,
and boobs.
I mean, I might just be throwing out
stereotypes,
but
at the same time, I'm sitting here like, what happens to men aren't psychic? Men can't figure things out. They definitely can. Historically, I know that they can.
They can.
This is a thing that like men are definitely capable of, and it wasn't until like the very, very, very end of the movie that I was like, oh, the psychic power is toxic masculinity.
Yeah.
Because and maybe not even toxic masculinity. It's enforced masculinity is the psychic power, because men, and I think this goes for straight men too, are put into a position where you have to constantly monitor what your standing is as a masculine person in any given situation. And again, even as a straight guy, if another guy does something that gives you a red flag, you're gonna pick that up, and it would take almost nothing. It would be possibly even below the noticing of like a woman, for example. But two guys, you will pick it up instantly.
Yeah.
And I realized like, oh shit, that's what that power is that hyper monitoring, that like panopticon of masculinity. And it made me so sad. Because, like, again, if there's one villain in this movie, it's Ennis's internalized homophobia. Yeah. And if there's another villain in this movie, it's that panopticon of masculinity, where if you aren't doing it right, people notice instantly and they punish you instantly.
Yeah.
And I just, again, it's not necessarily a cogent observation, but it just made me so sad to think about. Something that I really admire gay men for is something that, like, is also the undoing of so many people. Oh, I don't like it.
Yeah, masculinity is I think
it has
right now, especially
the capacity
a toxic
to be a prison.
Yeah, especially a toxic masculinity with men today really is frustrating. Yeah, especially the straight guys, they think we have to be all muscles and do all this stuff. But
let's all watch Predator.
Yeah.
You know, the movie with
though there's some
the straight guys with their straight bros.
Yeah.
Enjoying their straight friends, straight bodies for straight reasons.
Exactly. Oh, Dylan. That's how I see it now.
They're just filleting.
You pushing pencils, Dylan.
They're just filleting everything in the jungle.
Yeah, that's a very nice shirt you have, Dylan.
Getting out there and defeating the pussy-faced monster.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that's ugly. I don't want that.
Evil pussy, give me more dick.
Yeah. More Dylan. I was going over this little trivia stuff. This I found kind of interesting because last time we did Gus Van Sant movie, Gus Van Sant wanted to make this movie.
I do recall
he wanted to adapt the story, but he wanted Matt Damon as Ennis and Joaquin Phoenix as Jack. I would definitely watch that one too.
That would also be good, yeah.
And then also Joel Schumacher wanted to direct this movie too.
I still feel like Matt Damon is more of a Jack in that scenario, and I think Joaquin Phoenix is a better Ennis. But you know what? I'm happy to be proven wrong.
Yeah.
Matt Damon, go kiss Joaquin Phoenix and I'll let you know how I feel.
Yeah, they could just make a different movie. They don't have to call it Brokeback.
Just make the Matt Damon kisses Joaquin Phoenix double feature.
Directed by Ben Affleck.
Directed by Ben Affleck, exactly. Directed by Josh Ghormley. Josh, make it happen.
Yeah. I mean, I'd do it cheaply.
That's okay.
Yeah,
it's literally, the movie title is Matt Damon kisses Joaquin Phoenix. How much could they possibly ask you for a 10-minute scene? $10?
Yeah, I'd take $50 at this point. Enough to put gas in the car.
There you go.
Just drive the set. Like I said, I will do any movie. I wouldn't do a movie for free, but I would do it cheaply.
Well, especially Matt Damon and Joaquin Phoenix. Jesus.
Yeah, I mean, all the money's going to go to them anyways.
Exactly.
That's the thing.
Christ.
That's pretty much what happens anyways. I don't think directors make as much money. Depends on contracts and stuff. So we closing out on Brokeback Mountain. I definitely enjoyed it. I definitely think when I was talking about the whole Academy Awards thing, I personally definitely think that movie should have won the Academy Award. I definitely think that movie was beautifully made. It was made with a lot of kind of passion by all the filmmakers, the actors, and everybody involved. I don't know what kind of weed Academy Award people were smoking, or if they were doing meth or whatever, because they definitely, I think, got it wrong. Like, not to dismiss on the people that worked on Crash, because that's not what I'm saying. No. I just think
Crash is a significantly more blunt object
than
Brokeback Mountain.
Brokeback, I think, was just a better made movie.
Yeah.
It's a great movie, and if people haven't seen it, check it out, especially if you're on the fence of like the whole, it's, gay guy story. But you know what? I feel like it's a little bit more than that.
Yeah.
It's about relationships and losing them because you just
shut
down. You're afraid of, what people are going to think about you, and it's not about that. Like, who cares what they think about you? It's what you think about yourself and how you deal with it.
Also, friends, it's not 1969 anymore.
Nope.
Come out of the closet. Listen to Mr. Miller.
Yeah. At your own speed, obviously, but most of us are here to accept you.
Hell yeah.
So.
Some of us are part of you.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, yeah, I would definitely rewatch it again. And indeed, I really wanted to before we recorded. I just ran out of time.
Yeah. I wish I still had, because we did go rent it, but the movie store was calling me like, hey, it's been,
my movie.
So I went back up there Thursday morning, went up there, and I had $39 late fee.
Whoa.
For the 3 movies we rented.
Damn, man.
So please support us on Patreon. So I don't have to pay late fees like that anymore.
For real.
But maybe something can happen where we get a good discount. I don't know. So we're closing out. What's the next movie we're gonna?
Priscilla, Queen of the Desert. It's an Australian movie. It's about drag queens and a trans lady in the Australian outback. If you'd like to support us financially, you can do so at patreon.com/you haven't seen that podcast. We currently have only a $5 tier, which does not have any bonus content yet, but bonus content is coming very soon as of this recording. And by the time you have heard this message, it will probably be old news.
And if you are listening/watching on YouTube, please hit the like and subscribe buttons there. Write us some comments. We will try our best to reply back to you. Mostly right now, it's usually Erin doing the replying. Definitely hit the notification button as well, because then you'll get all notifications when we post things, and we should be posting more stuff on that channel. There's a couple photos of us at Movie Madness where we rented some of these movies that we have watched, and if you're in the local area, check that place out. It's a very cool place. Thanks for listening to this week's podcast with us.
Hey Josh.
Erin?
I wish I could quit you. All right. Bye.
See ya.